With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
The media is the mouthpiece of the devil. Yeah, I said that. The media is the mouthpiece of the devil. And the reason why I say that is because of their reaction to the new Sound of Freedom movie.
Familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
Sure, and the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something in them that is true and the rest of it is false, but the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping bring down these pedophile rings and save children. Now, it's not true, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling to have.
The media is so in the pocket of the elites who want to control the population, who want to control the information, the ones that talk about disinformation and misinformation. See, the media used to be the ones to give the citizens the truth, to be able to tell citizens what exactly is going on, to be the eyes and ears of the American public. That is no longer the case. The media is now the propaganda arm of the demonic messaging that people in charge want to promote. The fact that they are coming out against this Sound of Freedom movie, this movie that has a premise of fighting sex trafficking and child abuse and child trafficking and all slavery, is fighting those things. But instead of saying positive things about this movie or nothing at all, they're bashing this movie. And it's so funny because the same media that talked bad about Tim Ballard in the last few weeks had nothing but praise for Tim Ballard years ago.
In a half hour, this individual walks up to me, starts asking me what I'm here for, what I want, and within minutes he says, well, I've got kids as young as 11 years old.
Ballard, a former Homeland Security agent, now heads up Operation Underground Railroad, a nonprofit group that rescues trafficked kids. After that first meeting, the Colombians asked him to put together a sting.
No men will be in here, only women.
Operation Underground Railroad spent months planning, renting this house, rigging it with hidden cameras to document the crime, coordinating with Colombian authorities, and negotiating with the traffickers.
How they find these kids is they lure them in by pretending to have a modeling agency. They target them at 9 or 10 years old. And they were telling us that about by 11, they're ready for sex. They're ready to be sold.
What is that like, looking into that kind of person's eyes?
It's horrifying, and this is why. Because I've got a smile in the face of evil. This is the table where we're going to do the negotiation.
Less than 24 hours after the operatives landed, the suspected traffickers arrived on the island, and the final deal with the undercover team began. 54 boys and girls aged 11 to 18 were ushered in for what had been billed as a sex party. They were given candy and drinks and told to wait in this small room.
this little 11-year-old boy, I remember. He asked one of my operatives if they could give him some cocaine or something. He said, they usually give me something because I'm really scared.
By the time the deal was done, the alleged traffickers were set to make $25,000. That transaction was never completed. 25 Colombian special operatives stormed the party, arresting 5 suspects, 4 men and 1 former beauty queen, all charged with child trafficking. The victims, 29 of whom are under 18, were evacuated, given medical exams, and placed in a rehabilitation center where specialists are working to undo the damage.
Right before I got in the boat, we had to walk by this room where the kids were, and they put their hand up. And I touched their hand and see that there's liberation now.
Liberating one child at a time.
See, that goes to show you that the media is bought and paid for by people like George Soros and those in charge, because the media has never once come out and said anything negative about the people that visited Epstein Island. Have you heard anything about the list of people that have visited Epstein Island in the media? Of course not. That has been tamped down. That has been suppressed to the point where no one wants to talk about it because they can't, because the media for the most part is controlled by a few people, and those few people are the gatekeepers. They control exactly what message is being distributed to the masses. And unfortunately, too many of the masses are sheeple. They don't want to know the truth. See, the Bible talks about, if you continue in my word, Jesus said this, if you continue in my word, then you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The Bible also talks about how in the last days you have people that will suppress the truth. People are actually suppressing the truth. They don't want the truth to get out. And the fact that they are coming against this Sound of Freedom movie is a telltale sign that they are suppressing the truth. They would rather be on the side of the pedophiles. They would rather be on the side of the sex traffickers than stand up and promote or to celebrate a movie that comes against that. Instead of saying that it's a movie that helps to fight sex trafficking, they call it a QAnon theory. They call it all kind of crazy stuff. That shows you how the media wants to continue to make us perpetual victims. We are not victims, and we have to make sure that we use alternative sources. We have to have multiple ways to get our news, because the mainstream media is no longer in the business of giving us the truth. They put a kernel of truth in it, but then they wrap it around their agenda. And that's the problem. And I know too many people that are older, too many people, as a matter of fact, that look like me, that only watch one certain channel and they get their news from that channel. And that's why they hate Trump. That's why they hate America. Simple as that. And so therefore we must make sure when we get every opportunity that we give people the truth. Now, I made a video talking about this Sound of Freedom movie from the standpoint that I didn't think it was a quote unquote Christian movie, but I never said that this movie wasn't a good movie that people need to go see and support, because this message that it has inside of it, this message that it is promoting, is a message that's true, and a message that needs to be spoken, that needs to be broadcast across this land, across this world. And so when you see the media coming out against it, then you know that they are right over the target. Then you know that the propaganda arm of the devil, which is the media, is going to do their best to suppress this message. That's why we must get out and support this movie however you see fit, in order to make sure that this message gets out and as many people as possible can see it.